Hey YA nerds! Oh my god, it's been forever! How are you guys? So I'm in quarantine like many people. We won't really go into why. But if you're looking at the date that this is uploaded and you see what's going on in the news around this time, you'll understand why. And I figured it would be probably a good time to work on some videos. So here's the first one in a very long time. I've changed up everything on how this video is going to go. I am still going to talk about the books a little bit, but I'm going to add in a couple little extra things. I took out a lot of stuff, so the video should be a little shorter now. This one might be a little long because I have a lot of explaining to do, except not really. But anyway, so today I just want to talk about one of my favorite books ever. I'm breaking the mold a little bit. This book isn't really a YA book. It's more like a middle grade book. Personally, I read it when I was in 5th grade. My library teacher in elementary school handed it to me because I was obsessed with mythology. And she was like, "You like mythology, this story is kind of a mythology, so, you know, you might enjoy it." So today we're going to talk about A Wrinkle in Time. Or A Wrinkle in Time. Or wait. A Wrinkle in Time. This is like actually one of probably my favorite book ever. I own 3 copies, so that should tell you a lot about how I feel about the book, especially when my shelf space is so limited. But this was the copy that I purchased, or my parents purchased, when I was in 5th or 6th grade. If you could see by the spine, I have read it many times. I think the crease in the spine is actually from my favorite part of the book. It is, yep. So this is my favorite part of the book. I'll get into all of that in a little bit. Let me just tell you about the story first. So A Wrinkle in Time is the first book in a quintet. So that's 5 books in a row. It focuses on the Murray family. Specifically, this book focuses on Meg Murray, Charles Wallace Murray, and their friend Calvin, who makes friends with Meg in school. And basically the premise of the story is that Meg and Charles Wallace's father has gone missing, and he's been missing for several years, and the family has suffered greatly because of this. And supposedly he vanished, nobody saw him again. The family thinks he's coming back, but the rest of the community has passed judgment on this family, whose father seems to have walked out on them. Meg ends up getting recruited by 3 mysterious ladies. Charles Wallace kind of pushes her into it as well. And the ladies' names are Mrs. Whatsit, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. Witch. And they are weird and magical. And they use science to kind of convince the Murrays and Calvin to go and try to rescue their father from the darkness, also known as it. It's a fascinating story, honestly. It's really easy to get through, really easy to read. It was published in 1962, so way before I was born, way before I was even a thought in this world. And honestly, it is a story that has endured for a very long time. You know, it's over 50 years old, and people all over the world love it, obviously because we have 2 movies that were made from it. Like I said, it is one of my favorite stories. I don't know what it is about this story that completely struck me in 5th grade, but it is definitely the reason that I read as much as I do, the reason I love books as much as I do, and probably the reason I'm a librarian. Probably. That school librarian who gave me the book, definitely a huge influence on my life. I wish I could remember her name, but 5th grade Kaye, oh my god, if 30-year-old Kaye can't remember what happened yesterday, 5th grade Kaye. That's funny. So yeah, I actually classify this book a lot of times as a trilogy. When we look at this behemoth, it says the trilogy on the bottom. Like I said, it is 5 books. The first 3 books focus on the Murrays. I haven't read all of them. I started the 2nd book and then didn't like it, and then skipped to the 4th book, I think, somehow. I don't know. Younger me wasn't keeping track of this kind of stuff. Anyway, so from here, let's talk about the tropes. So, for the tropes on this, I used to just cut to a screen and you would just see them listed. I'm just gonna say them here and then I'll put them on the screen, and then as usual I'll put the descriptions for each of them down in the description below, so that you can see what I'm thinking about when I read these books and when I assign tropes to them. So the first one is The Chosen One. We have strong female protagonist, broken family units, Youths in Danger, Clueless Adults, Dumb Protagonist is actually Prodigy in Disguise, Trilogy, even though it's a quintet, it's a trilogy, and Love Cures All. And now for another thing that's going to be completely different for this video, I've decided to use my librarian skills to talk about Readalikes. Now, like I said, this book is a middle grade book. I'm sure there are YA books that are comparable to this book. I couldn't really think of any off the top of my head, and a lot of the times when I'm going to do this, I'm going to use websites to give me suggestions. So for this, I used Novelist, which is a professional kind of book recommendation thing. A lot of libraries have subscriptions to it, so if you have a library card, definitely check out your library's website and see if you can access Novelist, because it has a lot of really good suggestions, and you can even like customize what kind of book you want to read, and it will give you suggestions based on what you want. I use Novelist, and I also use Goodreads. I like Goodreads even though I don't like Amazon. That's a whole nother story. And usually with Goodreads, you just type in the name of the book, it gives you all of its information, and then you can even look at like some Readalikes up in the corner. So both of those are really good, especially if you don't have a librarian on hand. If you do have a librarian on hand or you go to the library, you can always ask them for recommendations. Some of them may not be really good at it, but if you find a librarian who's really good at recommendations, stick with them, because if they can recommend you something you love, they will keep recommending you something you love. That's it for my librarian plug. Now, the books that I found were When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stade. Yeah. Sal and Gabby Break the Universe by Carlos Hernandez. From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler by E.L. Konigsberg. And Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, but specifically Deathly Hallows. Now, like I said before, I've changed a lot of this video format, the way we're going to do this, the way I'm going to do this. So I'm going to try to recommend like 4 books or 4 Readalikes that are like the book that I'm talking about. Those were my 4 just now. So if you like any of those 4, you might like A Wrinkle in Time, and if you like A Wrinkle in Time, you might like any of those 4. And that's how we're going to do that one. As for a rating, because this book has a special place in my heart and nostalgia is a really hard thing to beat, this book gets a 10 out of 10 from me. The 2018 movie gets a negative 10 out of 10 for me because that movie was hot garbage. I appreciate the cast, I appreciate the director, I liked a lot of the ideas they had for the movie, but that movie was crazy. And then as for the 2003 movie, well, again, nostalgia is a fun thing, so I gave that one a 6 out of 10. And that's it for this video. So I hope I can get this uploaded. I'm gonna try to do Thursdays again. We'll see what happens. I can't promise that I can keep up with this with my crazy life and job, but at least I don't have grad school anymore. So I should have some more time on my hands, and also being quarantined will definitely help with that. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want. Don't. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've read the book. If you love the book, we can talk about it in the comments. You can also follow me on Twitter at Kaye Reads a Lot. And my name is Kaye. I read a lot. And I'll see you later, YA nerds.